That one's so stupid. Bring that back. Wait, bring that back up. Bring that back up. You make these funny pictures every week. This one is so close to what my reality is. You have a guy at a desk with a microphone in front of some stupid blinds. And look at my situation here. Look at who I am, where I belong. His cartoonish imagery of me is nothing but my present reality. Hello. When you see yourself, you got to be yourself. And I'm going to bitch about the aesthetics of Sam's Photoshops. I am Joe Walkowski, the professional gambler. We're betting basketball. We love basketball. Okay, so it's Saturday morning. It's Super Bowl weekend. And thank God that I got all my NFL content done for the year. I am just a hoops head moving forward. Okay, so it is kind of a fun slate, kind of a wild day going into it. And I am such a sappy person. I'm a very sentimental guy. And every night I just bitch about the Brooklyn Nets style of play. I am in a text thread with my buddy Ethan, a very serious player, student of the game, similar to myself. And I hate the Nets. I'm rooting for them. Sam, pull up the Nets title futures. What are they? Though that's the Atlantic Division, and I actually like the Sixers there. There's tremendous value in the Sixers in that lineup right there. So wow, we have Nets are plus 350 to win the title. Not only are those terrible odds, not only do I have zero confidence that they're going to get there, given how just crazy and chaotic this season has been, and the fact that it's a first-time coach and no roster cohesion, but you know, the outcome I want this year, I want to see James Harden, Kevin Durant get a ring. I think they are kind of misunderstood. James Harden has so much bad luck has gotten in the way of him having a championship. That's also true for Coach Steve Nash. I rooted for a lot of those Rockets teams. I didn't want to, but I did. I rooted for all those Phoenix Suns Nash teams because if you guys watch the show, you know I am kind of a Suns homer, which is that's just something I have to deal with. And they are playing well. They did stop my Detroit Pistons yesterday. But yeah, I think the Nets are like the first time I've actually missed crowds in the arena. James Harden, I mean, even though they lost yesterday, he's making plays in transition. He's playing with a lot of vision and distribution in the game. And you even see Kyrie trying to like do some glue guy shit, and he's not very good at it. And like he's diving all over the place. He's playing for loose balls. And shouts to all these point guards, Kyrie, Dennis Schroeder, going all out for loose balls. And I am going to be backing that shitty Nets title future. I will say that. How much will the average ticket cost when they let us back into Barclays? That's a tough question because, you know, I think that a lot of the ticket bots have been taken off the market, but you could always get to Nets games pretty cheaply. I think it'll cost about $50 minimum to get in the door for that one. And it does kind of suck because New York basketball has been in such a tough state for so long. And now we have like two watchable teams and this basketball starved populace can't get in the arena. It's driving me crazy. So you know what else is driving me crazy? I watch so much basketball. Something I do is I have it on mute. I put on music, and that happened last night because if you watch that Nets Raptors game, probably the strangest game of the NBA season, and you saw a little bit of Kevin Durant. He was in the game because of COVID protocol. He was taken out, and I was so annoyed with that whole storyline. I put the game on mute. I put on some records, and I was going through one of my records. This is not related to the show at all. I just thought this was mildly interesting. And since it's interesting, Sam will yell at me for including it. So I put on a Madonna records. You can make fun of me, but Like a Prayer slaps. And inside the record, I live in this Polish neighborhood, right? Worst pedestrians ever. Old Polish people cannot walk down the sidewalk. And if I wanted to be held back by old Polish people, I would just spend time with my dad's side of the family. I'm just kidding. They're all dead. But I open up this record. Inside, we got some Polish high school photos from 1973. That's a nice find there. And you can see members of Nikola Jokic's family on there. There were some signatures on the back. But the story of the Nets was so frustrating yesterday. They they drove me to find a interesting relic of Eastern European history. That's always fun. Let me know if I should close this window here, Sammy Man. And okay, let's get into the big pick of the night. I will be going against the Brooklyn Nets, the team I recently adopted, based against the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm on the year. I am 44-32. And one of those recent losses was probably the strangest basketball outcome of the year. The Blazers, no Lillard, no McCollum, no Zach Collins. I think Robert Covington was in the lineup. They blew out the Sixers, one of the best teams in the NBA right now, on their home floor by 25 points. I was on the Sixers and under, and I think my thinking, like I stand by the thinking there. Sometimes you do just get weird outcomes in the NBA, and shouts to the Sixers for having a sense of humor about it. Daryl Morey went to Four Seasons Landscaping, took some photos there, and said he demanded a recount for that game. So that's pretty funny. So pull up the line on this one on the handy dandy Props Network live line tool. So I got this at 4, and this is kind of strange, right? I actually saw the line move. That made me more inclined to bet on it, which is not a process I'm used to, because we don't. Durant's probably out tonight. Embiid, he's been a little banged up, but they are a little rested. They've had 2 days rest. Ben Simmons is on that injury report, and the Nets are on a back-to-back. There are so many red flags in this game. However, given how weird that Nets roster is without Kevin Durant, I mean, with KD in there, like KD is the great equalizer because he can play near the rim and he's so quick on his off the ground with his leaps. He can kind of serve as a rim protector in some ways. There's a lot of quickness. He gets the ball near the rim. He goes into transition, and those, the Harden, Kyrie sort of lineups, they need to work out the kinks with those. And against one of the few teams that I'm going to guess their horses are in there, because this is a big divisional matchup, I don't think this new lineup's going to really thrive against it. I think then the Sixers have a huge advantage in size. I think Embiid and Simmons kind of want to take this opportunity to hand the Nets a loss, establish themselves as the lead horse in that division. And gosh darn, is that not a fun division or what? You got Boston, Toronto, Philly, Brooklyn, 4 teams that I could conceivably see winning the Eastern Conference. Yes, I did throw the Raptors in there. Thank you for asking. Impressive showing from them last night, but I will talk about them another day. Yeah, he is no Portnoy. That's probably because he's over 5'5". I'm just going to close this window here. Sorry, we got the shifts here. I got to figure out different times for the sun every time. Will I see someone moving a tire today? That remains to be seen. You can, while I do this, you can just look at that creepy painting of me on my desk. My fiance, the beautiful one, she's tried to throw that out many, many times, and she has yet to succeed. Sorry, I had to take this off. Okay, we're good. We're gold. We're wonderful, and we are going to be even better when we back the Sixers tonight. Did that make it worse? This is rapidly turning into a podcast about the blinds in my living room, and I am here for it. Look, the position of my dog is troubling. Kyle, he's one of the Props Network OGs. I mean, you have to believe Philly was going to put it together this year. Brett Brown was not qualified to run an NBA team. Elton Brand was not qualified to run an NBA game. This is like you have a competent fire department in your town, and the previous fire department were arsonists. Yeah, they're competent. The talent level has always been there. They got Embiid to switch to the non-dairy ice cream. And I ask every day, can we pull the clip of me picking Embiid and the Sixers for MVP and Eastern Conference championships before the season? That's one of my favorite pulls of the year. So these are 2 of my favorite teams. It's not as marquee of a matchup as I would have liked, but I'm going to be back in the Sixers here. It's going to be a little weird. You can maybe, if you disagree with me, maybe you ride those injury reports up to the game. Maybe you'll find a little bit of more value there. And just while we're here, I am going to caution against betting against the Nets over-under for the entire season. It's the opposite of the Suns over-under. I don't get a feel for it at all. So let's move on to the next one, Sammy, man. Scroll up. Okay, switch over to that line because we're going to talk about Nuggets and Sacramento Kings. So I am a big proponent of today's NBA. I've been watching every season since 1993. I believe this is the deepest talent level. I think this is the best examples of team building across the NBA. And there's probably 7 teams right now that I would call championship worthy, maybe 7.5. So I got both LA teams. I got the Sixers. I got the Nets. I've got probably Miami's in there. And you know what? I've got Denver in that group. We can debate the 7th and 7.5 spot another time. But I do think this is a very good roster. I think they got exposed against Los Angeles. There was so many picks on the Nuggets the other night. I know there's certain teams that don't match up with them well. And people are going to make fun of them for losing Plumlee and Plumlee missing big rotations. But the fact is, in that Lakers matchup, they don't really have a horse to throw at Anthony Davis right now. If I'm Denver, I'm looking in the buyout market, and they're playing Sacramento tonight. This is kind of a tough matchup for Denver. They're missing 3 of their best guards. They have Gary Harris out. They've got the name I don't want to quite pronounce yet because I might offend some people who are just listening in my neighborhood. And they're even just, that's bad thing to have when you're playing the Sacramento Kings, a team that has 3 competent guards, a team that is now suddenly playing defense. However, Sacramento has owned Denver this year. They've played twice. Sacramento has won both times. And I just can't imagine a scenario where Denver, coming off a bad loss that makes them reflect on where they are as a franchise, is going to allow the Sacramento Kings, rejuvenant though they are, to beat them for a 3rd time in a season. Malone should know at least a little bit about how that franchise operates. I don't think it's been quickly enough for him to have any special insight on the players that are currently on the roster. But are we in a world where we have to argue whether the Nuggets can win the Western Conference without seeing them beat the Sacramento Kings? You got to take care of it here. I'm on the Nuggets, even though my model is totally against it. My model suggests the Kings quite strongly tonight. And I got to say, I'm going against it. It doesn't always work, but tonight I need to see Denver beat the Kings. They lost in bad fashion opening night. The next time out, they lost by 10 points, and there is still that bit of troublesome athleticism for them in the Kings big men. The Kings, if they ever get a real coach in there, and they have actually had real coaches there, they just fire them immediately for no reason. There's a lot of promising pieces there. I'd like to see him to get it together, but I don't want to see him get it together tonight. So I am on Denver. Those are my big hunches, but let's talk about some other ones. So I have been talking about Houston a lot. I was wrong in picking them against Memphis the other night because we saw 2 of the hottest teams in the NBA face off, with one of them on the back-to-back, and Houston, an older team with a couple of their key guys coming off of huge injuries. It's basically inspirational, everything that's happening in Houston. So they're playing San Antonio tonight. And is Houston in a position? Are they hot enough where we're going to back them till the wheels go off? We see the Spurs opened at +1.5. The line has moved to make the Spurs the favorite, and they're still missing some pieces. LaMarcus Aldridge won't be in there. I believe DeJounte Murray is questionable for this one. And really, I think these are 2 kind of balanced rosters. They've got, qualified veterans at all the big positional groups, which is guards, swingmen, and bigs. there's only 3 positions in basketball these days. You guys got to evolve and see that. If there's no 4, there's no 2, there's 1s, 3s, and 5s. That's it. Okay, and this is a good one to actually shop around for the line on, because you see there's a lot of variety. It's a pick 'em at DraftKings, and if you want to shop around on the Props Network, I would suggest it for this one. And I guarantee you, if you go to the Props Network and shop the lines for here, you're going to lose yourself in this tool. As gamblers, it's nice to see information and like interfaces that show us the lines as quickly as we consider them. Because I know when I'm thinking about like betting a slate of games, I go from one place to another. I want to see how different teams have different relationships. So, okay, just Sam, show how quick you are. I want to see the MVP futures. Pull them up. Go, go, go. Okay, MVP futures. Boom. All right, and we are going to back Embiid again. See, I picked him 40-1 and I didn't bet it. Okay, now go to Defensive Player of the Year. Go, go, go. We want to see that future. Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, wow. Those are good. Miles Turner, they're really giving him some love. I don't have a horse in that race. Maybe I'd take a flyer on Kawhi Leonard because they're not going to give him the MVP and they might need to find some way to acknowledge him. Yeah, 60-1 at DraftKings for Kawhi. I'll go with that. Yeah, don't accidentally bet Draymond. I would only bet Draymond if I'm going to say, like, which player is most likely to be in a celebrity boxing match in the next 5 years? That's got to be Draymond. And you know what? Sign me up, Draymond. Let's go. Let's rumble. And it seems like I'm just going to say, just looking at this, I don't want to call out anyone, but the FanDuel, not a lot of value in those futures. Okay, so subscribe to the Props Network, like our page, and let's get into our other games. Okay, so I just have a couple thoughts. I did my big picks. I did my observations, and here's just some feelings I have floating around in my dumb old head. So if I'm going to go player props tonight, I'm going to look at 2 variables. I'm going to look at how bad Nikola Jokic was against the Lakers in his last matchup. And I'm going to think that, oh, he's a top 5 player in an extremely loaded NBA. So I'm going to expect him to have a big night against Sacramento. The rotation's thin. He's the best player on that squad, and there isn't a all-world defender in that slate of Sacramento bigs. So I like the Jokic over. I also like the Giannis overs. Geez, someone's more bullish on Europe than someone trading currency futures. Oh boy, that was a nerdy reference. Okay, but you know what? The NBA has these kind of fun slates. A lot of people don't like them. I'm a big proponent of them, but Cleveland and Milwaukee played last night. Cleveland and Milwaukee are playing tonight. Last year, I think one of the big reasons that Giannis and the Bucks struggled in the bubble was how even the playing field was. You had no travel. You had ideal training conditions. You had little stress. And I think a great athlete like Giannis, he's actually going to have that athleticism come out when things are a little tough. So when Cleveland's picking themselves off the map, getting themselves ready to play Milwaukee again in a different city, I believe, I think that favors the best athlete in the NBA. While other people are struggling to recover, Giannis, I think he recovers better. His body is more inclined to take on the wear and tear of an NBA season. And you didn't see that in the bubble, but you are seeing this in these matchups here. So his over-under is 27.5. I would probably go with points plus rebounds plus assists here because, I think Giannis is probably going to be you can put him in for like 27, like 25, 9, and 4 easily. I think those marks hit. So over 45.5. I am with it, my friends. This is a great matchup for Giannis in all regards. I mean, a lot of things are, but Cleveland especially, I don't see an answer for him. Cleveland with no rest, I don't see an answer for him. Okay, so let's talk about just a couple hunches. 2 more things, bad boys. Warriors Mavericks tonight. I was right about the Warriors the other night. Can I give a confession? Can I say something that's a little embarrassing? So you might see now that I have the different shot, I have some pretty big hands. I was all over the Warriors when we last spoke Thursday. but when I went to bet them, I bet on the Mavericks. I didn't intend to. I didn't mean to, but I did. And I was watching that game. I found out I was having a stressful night. Lots of work here. I'm very proud of my output. Go to the Props Network page, click around, watch all of our NFL prop picks that are dropping today. 25 different video clips for Super Bowl props. Fantastic. But even if we are given expert analysis, that doesn't preclude us from human error. So I bet the wrong side of that Mavs game. And I think that might be the best pick tonight. Every bit of NBA intelligence was calling out the Mavericks in that game. Even Charles Barkley knew a more efficient way for them to operate their offense against a Golden State team missing their three best centers. Yeah, I think they're going to adjust. I have faith in Rick Carlisle to acknowledge the weaknesses of his roster. So in the 8:30 game on ABC, dang, the Warriors have been on national television so much this week. It feels like it's 2016 all over again. So yeah, I'm going to take the Mavericks here. I'm going to see if there's line movement on it here. So I'm going to maybe bet it closer to the game. I see that it's around 4, close to everywhere. I would love to see it to get at 2.5. At 2.5, I would be all over it. But I think this is kind of similar to in the NFL when you see a team favored by 3.5, because Vegas kind of knows they need to win more than their competition. I think the Mavs really need to respond. I think they've kind of had their backs against the wall all week, and I saw them respond nicely against the Atlanta Hawks earlier this week, but then they raised as many questions later on. And just talking about Atlanta hosts Toronto. Toronto played last night, and Atlanta is a 5-point home dog. Let me just confirm that Atlanta did not play last night. And yeah, can confirm they did not. I like the young legs of Atlanta to cover the 5 points. I would maybe consider taking this money line. I do see Trae Young's appearance on the injury report. It's so funny that Trae Young said he's overcome the odds his entire life. That guy was just voted into the NBA All-Star game as a starter in his second year when he plays on one of the worst teams in the NBA. However, yeah, I think Atlanta's kind of gotten it together. They still have some of their guards missing, but that game against Brooklyn last night was really taxing for the Raptors. It was a back and forth. They hit the over, and there was just an amazing pace of play that went through all 4 quarters. There was a lot of drama to it, so I could see it being exhausting from a mental perspective. And yeah, this might be one where I take Atlanta and I sprinkle a little bit on their money line as well, because I just think it's good value. I like this Atlanta Hawks roster, and I like to bitch about the coaches. If they don't get it together by the All-Star break, which is a conversation for another day, I think it's fair to ask questions about Lloyd Pierce. He didn't have a coaching job before this, and I have not seen any of these players on the Hawks roster, except maybe Capella this year, really just optimized, used in the most efficient way. So they're not in line with my expectations. I hear my fiance waking up in the other room. I'm going to hang out for 5 more minutes, and then I will take any questions, concerns, comments. I know we're at a different time now. I know I normally go at 2 p.m., but I feel like we have more time to get to the games on noon during the weekends. And you know what? It is hard for me because, I am a nerdy schoolboy, and it's hard for me to switch gears. Like, I can't go from like gambling to doing math problems because they're both just doing math problems. I need a break from all this math. So a little earlier helps me. And let's talk about tomorrow. I am working tomorrow, but the games start very early. So maybe I will talk to these guys about doing a social video tonight. Maybe I'll get out some pics and ideas while I walk my dog through the snowy streets of Brooklyn, New York. And yeah, it's just some way to be flexible, because I'm going to be watching a lot of those NBA games tomorrow, provided I get my math homework done today. And provided I make my ribs for the Super Bowl party, I've never made ribs before. I'm looking forward to it. I feel like I'll be good at making ribs because I'm good at making stews. I can make soups like a motherfucker. I'm good at two things in this world: talking about hoops and making soups. Can we put that on our t-shirts? Talking hoops, making soups. Yeah, and you know what? That is a show. I'll do one of these shows. If we do a special game, if there's an all-star game, I will host one of these while making a soup. I promise you guys. Hoops and soups. Let's do it special one day a week. We'll do hoops and soups. I do my meal prep at the early of the week, so maybe on Monday morning, if I'm not no, I got home. Maybe Tuesday. Wednesday. Wednesday's the day I'm off. Wednesday, I'm gonna make a soup while talking hoops. You can book on it here. We're gonna do a recipe. You've heard about Chef Curry. You've heard about Chef Harden. You're gonna have hoops and soups from the professional gambler, Joe Walkowski. Well, I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the most fun things I've ever done. I love talking hoops with you guys every day. I know with my different time, I didn't catch a lot of you guys, but I can't wait to talk to you guys next. And I believe that'll be Monday. We'll have our next stream up at 2:00. I'll see if I can do a soup. And I'll talk to the fellas about putting out something tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday. The 12 o'clock model normally works for me, but just looking ahead to the slate, I think we might want to adapt to the time. So I'm going to be a good boy. I'm going to make my fiance some breakfast in bed, and then I'm going to do homework all day. All right. Enjoy yourselves. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. The Walkowski on Twitter. Joel Walkowski on Instagram. And I will say, we've got a lot of good stuff coming out on the Props Network today related to the Super Bowl. And since I am the professional gambler, I will be putting out my Super Bowl video of the professional gambler Super Bowl pick. If you don't know me, my background is in comedy, writing roast jokes. If you've seen a Comedy Central roast, you've seen a couple of my jokes said. But yeah, I'm putting out a real fun Super Bowl video. Check out my page tomorrow. Maybe you guys will enjoy it. And check out the Props Network for all your gambling, betting, and soup-related needs. Till next time, this is Joel Walkowski. Walking off. There's weights at the bottom of my chair. This is going to break it. Yeah, I can't.